I think I've got it. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the stern photo, but it's the best I've got. I've got 20 slides, 10 minutes, so it's going to be very compressed. And the way that I'm going to start this, how to sell well, is taking a look at wellness's progression. And I think one of the things that I see with wellness is something that I see with crypto. Bear with me here. So you think about it, in 2000, wellness was on the fringe. Very few people spoke about it. It was, again, a concept in formation, if you will. By 2010, it became mainstream, and then by 2020, it became a must-have. So within a 20-year period of time, it went from effectively obscurity to a necessity. And like crypto, everybody knows what it is, but few people really can explain what it means, right? Why? Because wellness is a very big term, right? You could drive a truck through it. So everybody here will have their own interpretation of what wellness is. And then it overlaps with a lot of other concepts in the areas of health, fitness, and beauty. And then the third thing that you see here also is that businesses and brands are kind of co-opting wellness in order to sell product or charge a premium for their services. So that gets us to this chart of many bubbles, right? Which, for many of you, you know who the Global Wellness Institute is. They publish an annual book on or study on the growth of the wellness industry. And this gives you a sense that this is now a $7 trillion industry, looking at everything from personal care, physical activity, nutrition and eating, and real estate. So it's kind of, again, mestatized or metastasized, if you will, into a lot of different areas. And a lot of the uplift is coming from stuff that we just heard earlier today. It's through influencers and content creators that as they start to generate more spin and buzz around wellness, right? But I think, again, for anybody who is contemplating getting into wellness or is in the business themselves, it's a crowded market. And I think it's a lot fueled by FOMO, this idea of fear of missing out, right? So whether it's in beauty care, nutrition or food, physical fitness, hospitality, tourism, healthcare or medical, mental health and personal growth, there is no end of brands that are getting involved in wellness today. And this is triggering a search by brands, and particularly hospitality, trying to figure out how they find themselves to get into wellness. Because if you think about it, back in 2000 and even 2010, spa was the wellness product for most hospitality. And now they're having to migrate away from spa and to get into something a little bit more holistic, integrative, expansive. And that's testing for them because they really don't know how to do this. So the question is, how do you sell well? So I think before one of the things we need to do here is kind of frame or reframe what is driving this, right? And this is what's driving so much of the wellness today. When you take a look at 1980, less than $1 trillion was spent globally on healthcare. Here we are in 2020, and that moved from 1 trillion to 10 trillion on the back of things like chronic diseases, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and cancer, and is now morphing into things like anxiety, weight loss, attention disorders, and sleep disorders, which is a shift towards lifestyle. So, in fact, our lifestyles and lives are killing us, right, in the way that we're living. And when you take a look at the drivers that are propelling wellness, these are mega trends. These are not going away. They're not fads. Number one is aging societies, right? Around the world, most of your OECD countries are aging and aging rapidly. Two, it's chronic and lifestyle diseases. Again, the graph that we just saw showed the ramp up of chronic and lifestyle diseases over time and how much they are impacting that rising cost of medical or what I call sick care spending. And then we've got social media, and social media has a dual role here. It is both the source of a malady, right? And it also is the source of where we get so much of our information. The way that I take a look at it is it's a black and white issue. Wellness really is about empowerment. It's about control. It's you taking control of the things that you can in order to improve your health, wealth, mental well-being, whatever it is. And so the way that I oftentimes present this or reframe it to clients that we work with is effectively you can either spend on sick or invest in wealth. And it becomes that easy. I mean, again, it becomes quite a binary discussion. And while there are many, many different players in the wellness space, I think there are three major industries that really drive it. And this is very particular to Thailand and Phuket in particular. You've got hospitality, tourism, and healthcare. And when you start to put them together, you see this Venn diagram of healthy hospitality on the left, you've got wellness tourism at the top, and medical tourism on the right. So as Bill was saying, you've got a lot of people who are going for these wellness tourism retreats, and medical tourism is already extremely well established in Thailand. It's this thing on the left, this healthy hospitality of how do you start to integrate more wellness into hospitality stays for your business and leisure customers. These are people who are not coming for wellness per se, but wouldn't mind getting a little wellness on the side. So we work with a lot of the hospitality companies who are, again, making that migration from the spa world to the wellness world. And one of the things that we try to do is help them to try to figure out where is your positioning. Are you going to be wellness first or wellness friendly? And are you a generalist or are you a specialist, right? So if you take a look at your top right, these are branded wellness resorts and clinics like Chivasom, Kamalai, and the like. And then you go down to Move and Pick, which is in Bangkok, that has got an arrangement with BDMS Wellness Clinic. Then on the bottom left, you've got Marriott, which are hotels with amenities. And then up above, you've got Equinox and Six Senses, which are good representatives of hotels that have a foundation based on wellness, if you will. And then you have to take a look at how will you play. This is effectively the offer, right? What is your positioning in the wellness space? Is it longevity, vitality? Is it sports? What are the pillars, right? And these generally are the same for many of the wellness retreats or the wellness facilities, movement, nutrition, sleep, and the like. What are the programs and products that you're going to be selling? And what is the promise? Is it feel better, look younger, or live longer, or is it all of them? And who's the target, right? I think when you start to take a look at wellness, particularly if you're a large-scale business, identifying who that target audience is becomes essential to financial success and developing or delivering a wellness product that actually is sustainable. And in that regard, you're taking a look at who your customer is by age, expectations, engagement, time, and the like. This is something I think that is quite interesting, which is what I call the engagement curve, right? Generally speaking, you start with your curious beginner, people who are maybe dabbling in wellness, and then they kind of ramp up and they become a committed enthusiast, and then they go for constant improvement, and then they've mastered and they become advanced specialized. I'm a golfer, and any emerging golfer fits this to the T, right? They start playing a little bit, then they start really getting the bug, and then they start buying all the equipment and going to Scotland, and then they settle down. And the last thing that I think is a consideration here is how you will partner. More and more wellness is not about doing it yourself, it's about partnering with others who can help you along the way. So on the very far left, you've got kind of these partnerships, these informal collaborations, going all the way to the right, which is a holistic partnership. Folks, 20 slides, 10 minutes. Thank you so much.